I think us in the Sussex squad are used to anything and everything Meghan doing being criticised, and her 40 by 40 initiative is no different. And while I don't necessarily believe in paying attention to every last thing the critics say, I think this was worth talking about because I think it speaks to how easily it is to manipulate people and make them think that someone who is trying to do good in the world is somehow a bad person. Now, there are several media outlets, mostly right-leaning, that have criticised Meghan's 40 by 40 initiative as a vanity project and saying that it's not going to help anyone. And the question I have for all of these people, pundits and podcasters who are criticising Meghan's initiative is, what are you doing that is so much better? If you think that this is so useless, what are you offering to people in need as an alternative? Because if you don't have an alternative, how can you criticize someone else's efforts, especially when that someone has a track record of creating measurable change? These critics always have the most to say, but the least to give back. They jump on these stories for clickbait, and their followers eat it up because hate is their fuel. This is what happens when you make hate and negativity a part of your daily entertainment. You mindlessly follow people who harvest your attention for clicks and profits, but you continue to stay poor of thought and resources. One of the criticisms is that 40 minutes isn't enough. Well, I would argue that a mere 5 minutes could change someone's life. Maybe you unlock someone's thinking, inspire them in a way that gives them motivation. Perhaps you can give them a useful connection and introduce them to somebody else in your network if you like the person. Why do people pay the likes of Tony Robbins and other such motivational speakers thousands of dollars per event to go and listen to them? It's because they offer value. But Meghan isn't telling anyone to charge a king's ransom. She's asking people who have a lot of knowledge and experience to give their time for free. These people have made all the mistakes and learnt all the lessons to get to where they are, and they've offered to give that invaluable advice to someone else for free. 40 minutes with someone who is at the top of their game, 40 minutes with Beyonce, with Adele, with people who run huge businesses, with philanthropists that have made so much change in their communities and in their countries, is priceless because their advice is like being given a map of cheats. Meghan is simply an individual who is trying her best to add something positive to the world, and if she was doing nothing but just hoarding her wealth, she would still get criticised. Either way, she can't win. It's not her job to fix every darn problem on the planet, and yet somehow people are expecting her to fix everything from the economy to melting polar ice caps. And yet 2 minutes ago, the same people were calling this woman irrelevant. And yet now they're saying that her initiative is useless because it doesn't cure all of humanity's ills. They need to take that criticism and energy to the very institution perhaps that abused her. Because if you want to talk about the world's problems, institutions like the royal family historically have caused many more problems and done very little to make up for it. And when Meghan and the sixth in line to that institution, to the royal family, Prince Harry, tried to be a voice for change, a voice for reflection, a voice for accountability, a voice for reason, they were called too woke and driven out of that institution. But now Meghan is expected to make 1,000 fish appear and feed all the world's hungry and walk on water. I mean, sit down. Meghan and Harry have already donated large sums of their money. They are opening sustainable food kitchens, and they are collaborating with change makers in many different ways. The 40 times 40 initiative, I feel, was just a nice gesture that Meghan did for her birthday, knowing that the press would be paying attention to her, as a way of encouraging people in privileged positions to give back. She decided to use her day for others. And in the wider spectrum of things that the Sussexes are involved in, the 40 times 40 initiative is a drop in the ocean. But Meghan was just thoughtful enough to make her day about giving back to others. Another part of the whole 40 times 40 reveal that was attacked was Meghan and Harry's Montecito home. People saying that no one has a home like that, or homes don't look as perfect as that. I mean, I don't know who these people are that don't keep a clean home or don't spend some time on decorating, but perhaps they should be taking notes. The house is obviously much bigger in terms of space because we're talking about a mansion, but in terms of decor and design, it's actually very minimalist and not very extravagant at all. You could easily replicate the decor of Meghan's office with items from IKEA or the discount store, but you know what you can't easily replicate? A room with a solid golden piano. The Queen has a golden piano in her living room and a portfolio of estates around the United Kingdom paid for by the British taxpayer, and yet people have worse to say about Meghan's home, which was not purchased with taxpayer money. There were several articles in the British press red marking every single item in Meghan's home. This is how obsessed they are with someone they call irrelevant. Once again, proving that Meghan haters are her biggest fans. How can you be this obsessed with someone you claim not to like? Now, I was raised in Britain, it's part of my identity, I will never dismiss that. I do genuinely love my country. Me calling out my country's BS is not me hating my country before anybody dares accuses me of that. But there are some things that get on my nerves, and one of those things is the tall poppy syndrome that we suffer from. And I think this is where I've always related a little bit more to American culture and their way of aspiring towards wealth and success and being unapologetic about it and not apologizing for being a higher or overachiever. The tall poppy syndrome that is part of British culture stops people from wanting to excel because people are conditioned to chop you down if you are the poppy that grows above the other poppies in the field. And so you have a country where we have all of the resources to be able to be the best at things, but a press culture and a class system that simultaneously works to keep the everyday person in place so that the upper classes who are born into wealth and privilege are not upstaged. People have actually been brainwashed into accepting the bare minimum and that only a certain class of people who have done the least work to obtain those luxuries should have those luxuries. Hence, the UK taxpayer shells out tens of millions a year to upkeep a family who consider showing up to events to wave and cut ribbons as work and service. It's why they were shocked at the sight of Meghan's home, because they don't know what you can achieve when you don't accept mediocrity. It's why they can't handle the fact that Meghan did so much in the 2 years that she was a working royal and never seem to question why Kate and William in comparison have done so little in the decade or so that they have been working royals. As I've said before, this is not what the firm, the British press, and those that are against Harry and Meghan wanted. They wanted them to fail, and they're having to reckon with the fact that the hate campaign hasn't worked. And for those who eat up what the press says, they're starting to realise that no amount of keyboard bashing in the comment section of the Daily Fail is going to stop the Sussex train. Harry and Meghan aren't suffering, they are thriving, not surviving, and eating fresh eggs from Archie's Chicken Inn. Give me a Montecito mansion with Tuscan-inspired decor over Buckingham Palace any day. Just look at how cozy this place looks. I feel like a lot of the royal palaces should be attractions to view because the designs are stunning, but as places to live, I just don't think they're very homely. It's kind of like living in a museum. Anywho, that's all for today. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, my darlings. Ciao!